Welcome. You are now tapped in to the biggest and best vibes in the sports world. I am your host, Tony Vibin Well, and this is Big Vibe Sports. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah, let's. Ah. Ah. Let's go. Thank you for being here. This is a channel dedicated to anything and everything sports related. I'm going to be covering some of my favorite teams that I've been rooting for ever since I was very little, growing up in Dallas, Texas. Right now, I am tapped in with the Dallas Mavericks. The better part of, we're almost a year removed now since the Luka Doncic trade, and there has been so much that has happened. If you want to say the collapse of the organization, some people would say that. Other people may say this is just the best opportunity and the best time to become a Dallas Mavericks fan. You have a potential generational talent who is only 19 years old, just turned 19 years old, in Cooper Flagg. You have Hall of Fame level players who are veterans like Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, as well as Kyrie Irving. This team has an incredible opportunity, but that opportunity continues to be squandered because of injuries. And most professional athletes, most athletes go through an injury. I've been an athlete for my entire life. I've been playing basketball ever since I was in middle school. I played soccer before that. And, living and growing up in the Dallas area, rooting for the Cowboys, the Mavs, the Stars, the Rangers, you name it. I got to see firsthand, what it takes to become a champion, because all of those teams have been champions in their professional fields. So I've been super inspired my entire life. And this is a channel dedicated to showcasing, recapping games, live streaming, just highlighting athletes, highlighting leagues, and just giving my takes on what the sports world means to me, and how our competitive nature as human beings can be harnessed into something positive. And I think that's what you see whenever you see these incredible champions hoist their trophies and put on their medals. You're seeing the biggest and best moments of their lives captured, because these athletes spend so much time every single day of their lives dedicated to one thing, and you get to see them realize their dreams whenever they hoist those trophies. So this is Big Vibe Sports. If you like content like this, subscribe, hit the like button, and we're going to get into this most recent game between the Mavericks and the Houston Rockets. Right now, just a little overview. The Mavericks right now are sitting at 13-23. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings. I got the standings pulled up right here. Let's see. We got in the Western Conference. Let's just start there, right? You got OKC, who's just an incredible juggernaut. They defending world champions. There was a whole, back and forth about whether that should be considered world, since we're only in the USA, the NBA. But we'll save that topic for another day. So you got OKC number 1, San Antonio 2, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles Lakers, and Luka Doncic. You got Minnesota, Phoenix, Golden State, Portland, Memphis, and then look down here. They don't have a number by their name, by their logo or name. They're just in the abyss of the lowest standings in the Western Conference, along with these other teams: Los Angeles Clippers, Utah Jazz, Sacramento Kings, as well as New Orleans Pelicans. Dallas 13-23. This has been a rough year. I mean, if you are a Dallas Mavericks fan, we have been going through it. We have been watching the tale of two worlds, right? You're probably feeling like I am, which is, we have this incredibly talented team, from veterans to rookies, but none of them can get on the floor together. Kyrie has been out the entire year with a torn ACL. Anthony Davis, we are now in the Anthony Davis business where we are literally waiting on him to get back in the game, because every other game it seems like he gets injured and then he's out for 2, 3, 4, 14 games. And then he's back for 2 games. Everybody starts to get on a roll. We get a W just like we did tonight against the Houston Rockets. Let's go ahead and pull up the box score. And yeah, it's let's just start with the Houston Rockets. All right. You got Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, who pretty much led the way for the Houston Rockets in this game. Amen Thompson had 20, Tari Eason had 19, Kevin Durant had 34. Kevin Durant is still this year, all throughout the year, has been looking like a Hall of Famer. He has been putting up consistent numbers for the Houston Rockets. The fact that they secured him in the offseason and traded for him, you have pretty much a locked-in huge lineup from Amen, Tari, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr., Alperen Sengun. We'll get to him again here in a bit. And then you have these role players. Dorian Finney-Smith, who used to play for the Mavericks. Miss that guy. Wish he was on my team right now. Even though we probably could use a lot more two-way guys, he's more of a one-way defensive talent. But yeah, this game, the final score right here, 104-110. Dallas came away with that dub. And again, if you are a Mavs fan, you're probably feeling many different ways. There's one train of thought that there's probably one side of the fan spectrum for the Dallas Mavericks who feel like they want to see Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving come together and play a game together, because they have yet to do that. It's only been Cooper Flagg, AD, and Klay Thompson for the most part this year. You have incredible potential in backup role players like Max Christie, Ryan Nembhard, who's been on a two-way, and Derek Lively out for the season. Dante Exum out for the season. Daniel Gafford has been injured for most of the season off and on. And AD, if you are a Lakers fan or if you are a Mavericks fan, you now know Anthony Davis is just someone who is very difficult to rely on to stay in the games. He has nicknames that have been well covered. They call him Street Clothes. They call him Day-to-Day Davis. There's so many names, and you don't get those nicknames unless there's some truth to them. And so Mavericks fans, I especially, have been going through it, watching this guy show up, put up big numbers, and then be out for games. And you're just like, you can tell Cooper Flagg, who has all the talent in the world, he has all this potential. You can see things are clicking for him the more that this year goes. The last 2 months, he has won the Rookie of the Month award for December as well as November. But going back to their stats here, let's lock in. Let me go over my notes. I'm gonna pop in, do a little overview of the stats. Then I'm gonna go through the notes of the game, and then we're gonna call it a day, because I don't want this to be an hour-long video. I gotta learn how to do this quickly and efficiently so that people aren't falling asleep like you probably are right now. All right, anyways, so yeah, Houston Rockets, they have been a great team. If we go back to the NBA standings, I'm going to be all over the place, but hang with me here. Right now, they are 4th in the West at 21-11. They are 5-5 over their last 10, and they are a dominant, large, rebounding team. You have Hall of Fame scorers like Kevin Durant. You've got incredible defensive players like Amen Thompson. You have offensive engines like Alperen Sengun. And yeah, so they did what they could. They tried. Alperen Sengun went out with an early injury, and that changed the trajectory of the entire game. They rely on him heavily when he is available. And just like AD, Anthony Davis, you can tell once one of those guys goes out, everyone has to readjust. And it's like what you've been used to playing and used to developing that chemistry, all of a sudden it's gone. And now what are you going to do? Right. So if we take a look at the Dallas Mavericks and what kind of stats they put up today, this game was pretty much a Max Christie game. You had Anthony Davis that kind of did his typical Anthony Davis thing where he gives you, I would say 20 to 30 points, right around 25. He had 26 today. He had 12 rebounds. He had 5 blocks. So like this is the two-way ability that I think was envisioned whenever Nico Harrison, who is no longer the GM of the team, recently was fired. And I think this was kind of the vision he was talking about all over the offseason as well as the beginning of this season of like, if we can get these two-way ability superstars to play with each other, which is Anthony Davis and Cooper Flagg, maybe they have something. Maybe they can take it deep into the playoffs and succeed where a one-sided type of player like a Luka Doncic, who is an all-world talent and is fully capable of dominating on the offensive end, Lakers fans are going through it right now with his lack of defense and his complaining to the refs and his just the fact that he will quit towards the end of the game because for whatever reason, he's just not into it anymore. And, as Mavs fans, like I know what that feels like. I've seen him do it. I've seen him go to the finals and be the best player all the way up until the finals. Until we ran into the Celtics and it was just a buzzsaw. But anyways, in tonight's game, Max Christie was aggressive. And that was something that a lot of, Mavs fans and, pretty much the Mavs team has been asking him to do. We've been looking at Max Christie, who came over in that AD trade with Luka, the trade between Luka Doncic, AD. Max Christie came over with that, and there are many people now who are saying, like, is this the Max Christie trade? Like, nah, it's not. But he is a young talent. He's only 22 years old. He plays the 2-guard position, sometimes the 3-guard position. They have him running point at times. Not like a traditional point guard, but like, for instance, they started today's lineup. If you look at the starters, you got Max, PJ, Cooper, Anthony, and Daniel Gafford, all the big lineup to try to stack up to the huge lineup that the Houston Rockets put out there every night. And the start of this game was very much so like the start of the entire season for the Mavericks. If they go with this big lineup, what they did, which is what they did in the beginning of the season, you had Cooper Flagg, who was running point, who is an 18-year-old rookie who's never played the position before, but Jason Kidd wanted to give him an opportunity to learn on the fly, be thrown into the fire, and be given an opportunity to grow and develop at a high level quickly, to adjust his game to become something that is closer to what a Luka Doncic is able to do, which is completely run an offense and tailor his playmaking skills around his teammates. And with Cooper Flagg, the biggest difference between him and Luka Doncic that I've seen so far, one is the athletic ability. Cooper Flagg has an incredible athletic talent, as well as a two-way willingness. I will say he is somebody who is constantly working on the defensive end. Where he differs from Luka is a savant on the offensive end. And Cooper is still developing something like that himself. He has the skills and he has determination to be an offensive threat every game. And he is on his way to leading all rookies this year and being the number one offensive threat for all rookies. But there are the top 4 rookies that were drafted in this year's draft have all been stellar. Con Knipple, VJ Edgecombe, Dylan Harper, Cooper Flagg, all those guys have come out swinging and really supported their teams as starters and as like dependable guys who can score night in, night out, have two-way ability, and just have lifted their organizations to thinking like, oh, we have something for the future. In this game, Cooper Flag had 10 points. And you're probably saying to yourself, like, 10 points, that's like nothing. That's role player stuff, you know? Well, all the other things that he did, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, a block. You could tell if you were watching the game, he played almost 35 minutes. He was all over the place. He got an early foul trouble in the first few minutes of the game. And let's go to the notes. I'm going to go through my notes real quick, give you an idea of how this game went quarter to quarter, and then we're going to close this thing out and call it a day. So first quarter, Mavs start their big lineup to go up against Houston Rockets. It is a slow start for them because this is something that has plagued this Dallas team since the beginning of the season. When they don't have a point guard out there to start the game, things just look sluggish, things bog down. There's not quite that chemistry yet because AD has been in and out of the lineup, as well as Derek Lively and these other starters who would be there if they were healthy on a consistent basis. So, and then also, Jason Kidd playing around with the lineups and trying to find, who can do what, when, where, and how. And so that's how this game started, a slow start. But during that slow start, you could see right away, out of nowhere, Max Christie had this aggressive mentality. And like I said earlier, we have been asking for him to have this kind of mindset. Right now, he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, statistically. And they're asking him to shoot. I think I heard a quote that Jason Kidd earlier before the game said something like, I would be okay if he shot 10 threes a game. And this is a Mavs team that is one of the lowest 3-point attempts made this year. I think the other night they had 13 attempts. 13 attempts the entire game. Like, I remember whenever Luka was on this team, they were averaging 30, sometimes 40 threes a game. I mean, now Luka does a lot of step backs, and you can expect him to shoot probably 10 threes a game. But now they are like begging for these players. You have Klay Thompson, who will just, as soon as he catches the ball, he'll fling it up there no matter where he is on the court, 3-point or not. And you're pulling your hair out sometimes. I don't have much hair, but when you're pulling your hair out sometimes, because sometimes the attempt looks terrible. But this team lacks 3-point shooting. The point guards rarely want to pull up from whatever distance, and you're like, just do it, just take the shot. We need the attempts. This is a league that thrives on 3-point shooting. Players like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, who was, is a splash brother and used to be with Steph Curry, that these guys put up big numbers. So you had, which is kind of funny, you had Klay Thompson, you had KD on the other end, and I'm talking about Steph, and that was the huge dynasty of Golden State Warriors, right? Who, are well known for their 3-point shooting. So anyways, to go back to the Mavs game, you had Max Christie, who started out aggressive. Coop, like I mentioned before, had that early foul trouble. He even had this weird, funny play where he basically got ripped by Amen Thompson around the half-court circle as soon as he got over half-court. And as soon as he got ripped, he sticks his foot out and trips Amen Thompson. And at first you didn't see it. It just looked like he kind of stumbled. But then they slowed it down and, did the replay thing. And the refs went and replayed the play. And it was a bad look. It was just like, you probably shouldn't have did that. Earlier this year, Santi Aldama grabbed Cooper Flag's foot in a similar play underneath the basket. And it was just like, that's not a basketball play. Like, what are you doing? That's not putting good vibes out into the world. It's not, that's not playing within the confines of the rules of the game. You're kind of stepping out there and you're putting yourself and your team in jeopardy whenever you have moments like that, because that's a flagrant, and that's considered a what is it called? A tech. That's what I was going for. A tech. That's considered a tech. If you get one more tech, you're out the game. That happened a couple of games ago. Somebody got 2 techs early on, boom, they're kicked out of the game. So anyways, going back to the first quarter, KD and Anthony Davis were battling. They both got and ones on each other, and it was one of those things where you could tell that Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis have history. They have been playing in this league 10 plus years each, and they're veterans and they're both Hall of Famers. They have had battles year in and year out, and you could tell they were going at each other, and that was really fun to see. Şengün, like I mentioned, turned his ankle by stepping on Gafford's foot, coming down with a rebound. You can instantly, as soon as he hit the ground, he just went straight down, holding his ankle, and you were like, oh no, like they're going to be without Şengün. And whenever you are an opposing team, you're feeling mixed feelings because you're like, well, maybe we don't have to deal with him, but at the same time, you never want to see a competitor get hurt and go down because you want to beat the best to be the best. You know what I mean? So anyways, just like Şengün went out with an ankle injury, PJ Washington early in the first or middle of the first quarter went out with an ankle injury. He was like navigating off of a screen and just kind of turned his ankle. I think it looked like it initially like he knocked knees with someone, but I think at the same time he twisted his ankle, and it was reported early on that he was out for the game. So Mavericks, another injury added to the list. First quarter ends 31-25 with Houston up. Just kind of indicative of the Mavs season. They've almost every game has started slow, and they've been down like 10 points instantly to start the game. Second quarter gets started, and it's a completely different energy because point guards are in the lineup now. You have Brandon Williams, you have Ryan Nembhard, who both take turns kind of manning the offense, and instantly the flow of the game starts to cook. And the guards are really helping in the passing game. The flow of the offense is much better. And then towards the end of the second quarter, Cooper Flagg has now turned it on because he has come off the bench from his 2 fouls early in the first. He's now able to get a bit of a rhythm. He has a couple of scoring plays, but mostly towards the end of that second quarter, he is dishing and diming. And I think he finishes with like 3 straight assists, as well as on the defensive end, getting steals and rebounds, and just like propelling this Mavs team to a 57-50 Dallas lead at halftime. In the third quarter, you have kind of an even start for both teams. They're both kind of looking sluggish to start the third quarter. AD starts cooking again. Max is still on fire. I believe he hits an early 3, and then he actually catches a body going up for 2 hands off of a fast break and yams on Jabari Smith Jr. And at that moment, you're like, okay, Max understood the assignment. He has listened to all of the critiques of the season and he's applying them. You're like, let's go, Max, let's go. Then you get more strong play from Max offensively, defensively, and rebounding. The Rockets start dominating the offensive glass towards the end of that quarter. The Mavs hold up on defense, though, to have a strong end of the quarter, and the Mavs end with their largest lead of the game so far, 87-75 Mavs. Fourth quarter, Mavs start the fourth quarter with a rare fourth quarter lead because most of the time when they're playing in these games, they are starting the fourth quarter with like a 10-point deficit, and they're having to claw their way back out. And they have played the most clutch games of any team in the league, and they don't have a good record. I don't have that off the top of my head, but they don't have a good record. It's a losing record in the clutch. Anyways, Max is continuing to play strong. He hits a few threes, and then KD, like KD has done his entire career, starts cooking. He's hitting mid-range jumpers. He's hitting threes. They start to crawl back into it. AD starts to finish strong though, with some tough blocks and rebounds. There was a sequence towards the end of the fourth quarter where I want to say the Houston Rockets had 5 or 6 offensive rebounds back to back. They just couldn't get the ball in, and the Mavs couldn't get the rebound, but they stuck to it. And at the very end of that sequence, Anthony Davis jumps up and blocks the crap out of one of the Houston players and just turns the ball over right away and gives it back. And then we come down, Clay in the corner for three. And it's like that transition of defense to offense is something that this Mavericks team has been predicated on whenever they have had success. They have been a top 10 team in defense in the league, and they have been showing signs that if they can figure it out on the offensive end, they can be a serious team to deal with. But because of the injuries, they are who they are. So at the end of the game, the Rockets just couldn't hit anything towards the end of the fourth quarter, and that was pretty much it. The Mavs finished strong. They rebounded. They played defense. They had some clutch buckets from AD, from Clay, from Max, and even Coop had a couple. In the presser after the game, Kidd kind of spoke a little bit about, those key players that I just mentioned. He talked about Max's two-way ability, about him being able to play offense and defense. He talked about Coop being able to help his team whenever he wasn't scoring. So doing everything else, rebounding, assisting, causing havoc in the open court just off of transition and, pulling the defense his way and then kicking around the corner or kicking down low. He spoke on AD's strong play, how great of a player he is whenever he is healthy and he's available. And then he talked about Brandon Williams' speed and how that affected the Houston Rockets. Some of the other things he talked about was he said that the Mavs need to get better at getting the ball into AD in the post. There were a couple of moments throughout the game where I think it was even in the fourth quarter, Will tried to get it to Anthony Davis in the post, and that chemistry was off, and he just threw it right out of bounds. And sometimes you can see that in these games whenever you can just tell whenever AD has been out, this team has had to have a different identity. And so they're not used to just throwing it in down low to Gafford. Lively hasn't been there almost all year, and you're not really doing that for someone like Dwight Powell. So you're wanting to do that with someone like AD, but he just hasn't been there consistently enough to understand exactly how to get that to him in all the nuanced ways throughout the game. And so that definitely reared its head today in the game. Some of the last things that Kidd spoke on was he said that the rebounds going into transition really helped give the Mavs an advantage. It really allowed them to get out with pace and get out in speed because this Houston Rockets team is a bigger team. They are slower footed. At times, obviously, Amen Thompson is, one of the fastest players in the league. But other than him, you've got some slow-footed guys there in the lineup for them. So they really struggled with the speed of Will, of Coop, and a few other players and Max Christie and other players that were able to get down the court, get easy buckets, get dunks, and just really propel the team for this home win. The last thing he mentioned was that PJ did sprain his ankle during the game and that he was day-to-day. He doesn't have any more information for us. But, that was pretty much the game for the Mavs. Let's go back to these stats here. Let's see. Anthony Davis, one more time, 26, 12, 8 of 9 from the free throw line. He attempted 2 threes. You got Max Christie, who's been consistent, 4 for 6. From the three-point line, he took 13 shots, which is great for him. Cooper Flagg took 12. Most of us want to see Coop taking like at least 20 shots a game. So, but it's kind of hard to knock the kid because he's just making the right plays. He's like, there's a guy wide open right there. I'm gonna pass it to him, and if he doesn't make it, that's not my fault. Will definitely helped off the bench with 15, as well as Najee Marshall. Najee is somebody who is a wing who plays like a guard, and who once he gets into the paint and puts that floater up, I would say 9 times out of 10 it's going in. He's one of the most consistent and highly efficient players inside the paint as a wing and as a guard scoring. And he's like carried us in many games this year. Klay Thompson had 9. Caleb Martin gave you a bucket. Ryan Nembhard didn't score much, but you could tell that whenever Nembhard's out there, he's facilitating and trying. There's games where he's really effective and really efficient because he is a very savvy point guard. Daniel Gafford gave us 9. And PJ Washington, because he went out early, he only had 12 minutes. He didn't really score. He had, I think, 1 attempt at a 3 that I remember him shooting. And it was tough to see him go down and go out with an injury, but that has been the story of this Mavericks team. So let's just take a look real quick, go back. We're going to take a look at this website called Tankathon, and this is basically a simulator. Don't mind the ads that pop up here. So Tankathon is one of those websites where it shows you the standings backwards and basically who has the opportunity to pick at the top of the draft for each consecutive year. And last year, the Mavs lucked out in getting the number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg. This year, they have the 9th best odds, tied with the LA Clippers, who actually that pick is going to go to the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is terrible because they're already so loaded, and somehow they just stockpiled picks against all these other teams and these pick swaps, and they are just like over and over and over like stacking their team, which is crazy. But anyways, Dallas has the 9th best odds. They're sitting at 13 out of 23 games played. And, with Kyrie still being out, with AD's injury history and continuation of always having some kind of injury pop up. I mean, during the game today, he went down on a play and instantly held his back, and you're thinking like, oh, that's it. He's out for another 5-6 games. like every time he goes, he's one of the most fallen on the floor players I have ever seen too. And maybe that's why he gets so many injuries, because every time he shoots the ball, he goes to the ground. And I'm like, bro, just shoot the ball and stay up. But I get it. He's trying to draw the fouls. He's trying to do all the things that, these grifters these days try to do, Luka Doncic included. So there you go. Dallas in the 9th best odds. This is the last pick they will have this coming up year. This is the last pick in the draft that they will have for it until like 2031. So there are many Mavs fans and people around the league who expect the Mavs to use this opportunity with their terrible record this year, with the injury woes that they've been going through, to really mail it in at the end of the season and tank as much as they can to get as close as they can to, a top 4, top 3 pick. This coming up draft is loaded in the top 4 to 6. They're saying there's generational talents. They always say that, not always in every draft, but most recently with last year's draft with Cooper Flagg. This year's draft, you got AJ DeBonsa, you've got Darren Peterson, and you've got a few other players who, Cameron Boozer, who are available and who will probably go in the top 3 or 4. And if the Mavs can find their way up there with this losing record, they could have a piece on their hands that could complement and go perfectly with Cooper Flagg and building the future of this franchise. There's tons of talk right now because it is trade season, so there are tons and tons and tons of rumors every single day about who the Mavs are going to be trading. AD has been on the trade block, it seems like, since the beginning. Everyone expects Anthony Davis to be traded. The Hawks have come out as a potential suitor, trading Zachary Richeche, as well as some other expiring contracts and a draft pick. And there's other teams that are interested as well. I think the Eastern Conference is one of those conferences for years now that is kind of always playing second fiddle to the Western Conference. And so there's a lot of talk of AD being able to kind of flip the script in the Eastern Conference, give a team there a real boost on the offensive and defensive end. And the Mavs can take that opportunity to go young, build around Cooper Flag, get some expiring contracts, as well as young players and trade assets to start to build the foundation for what this Dallas team is going to look like for years to come. Let's just go back here to the main page here, and I'll get my closing remarks. Thank you again for being here. This is my first attempt at doing this. I'm sure I rambled on. I was probably all over the place, but this is my first try. So thank you for being here. Thank you for trying to get through this with me. My favorite basketball team is the Dallas Mavericks. I plan on probably attempting to cover some of the Dallas Wings games. That's the WNBA. They also had a first-round pick, Paige Beckers, last year, and they got the first-round pick this year. So there's tons to cover for the WNBA if there's a WNBA season. We shall see. But yeah, if you enjoy content like this, please subscribe. Please hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite team is. Let me know what your favorite sport is, and what position you played whenever you played in high school or college or even the pros. And that's it for me today. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for sharing your vibes with me. Much love. See you next time. Peace. Holla. Yeah. We out.